So yeah, so in terms of placement, and actually we can recap all of the bits we've talked about. So in terms of placement, as I say, in order to qualify as a vet nurse, you need to have demonstrated to the RCVS that you are competent in basically a range of skills that they describe as either day one competencies or day one skills. And basically what those are skills that every veterinary nurse has to demonstrate to say that they are safe to basically go out in industry and work as a veterinary nurse. So they could be things like working on reception, answering the telephone, taking payments, right up to things like taking blood, doing anaesthetics, placing bandages, placing IVs. And those are what are called your day one competencies, day one skills. So as degree veterinary nurses, you have to basically, in order for the RCVS to be happy that you've had appropriate time in practice and appropriate training, you have to basically be in practice full time for 1,800 hours, which normally works out to be about anything between 45 and 51 weeks in industry. Now I say give or take because it depends how many hours you work a week, but that does allow for you guys to have, you know, a normal life as well and have time off if you need to and so forth. So that time we've allocated to your year placement. So as far as the RCVS are concerned, that's the only placement which they require you to do as a veterinary nurse. And as they were saying last night, that placement specifically is the one that we will find you. So you don't need to worry about that one. It is very much we work together just because it's quite nice to, you know, work together rather than us dictating and saying you will go to this placement. Absolutely, Kirsty. Yeah, it's the same as midwifery, same as any other kind of clinical thing. So yeah, so we basically help you to find a placement. Cody's just said, what if you've already got a placement? Well, if you've already got a placement, you can jump to the front of the queue. Basically, we've got a form we have to get you to fill in, which again I can share with you. That's not a problem. But that's kind of kept together as your clinical placement. Now, the one thing as degree nurses, which is different, and I realise this is sometimes where it's challenging when we have the kind of general conversations with the RCVS, is that you, as a level 5 nurse, which is what you will be ultimately, because you guys will qualify with your FDSC, and you will also have your RVN qualification. Because you've got that FDSC, that means that you studied to level 5. So you guys are level 4 at the moment. Next year will be level 5, and then the third year will also be level 5. Basically at that point, what the RCVS want to see from us, or one of the things they ask us, is what makes you a nurse that has gone above and beyond their basic studies. Because if you had done the apprenticeship route, you would be level 3, and obviously for you guys, because you're doing the degree route, you'll be level 5. So one of the kind of things that the RCVS, as I say, wants us to demonstrate to them is that you have studied other modules which don't fall into the day one competencies. So if you've been, and I don't expect you've done this, but if you've been really kind of honest and looked through the course handbook and looked through unit web search, you'll notice that 90% of your units have a P in front of them. So they have a code and they have a P. That means that is a professional unit, and that is directly linked to your day one skills, day one competencies. But as I say, the RCVS like to see that you have done additional units that go beyond what's the expectation. So there's a couple of units. Well, there's one unit in this year, which is your industrial experience, that does that. And then you've got 3 units in your third year, which are also above and beyond those day one competencies. So one of the ways in which we have decided, and I say the module is accredited by the RCVS, so it's approved, they recognise it, they like it, is your industrial experience unit. So the industrial experience unit has come from Portsmouth, and Portsmouth dictates how many hours they want you to do and how you have to achieve it. But that's where the 111 hours come from. So last night, the question was asked, well, can we use webinars? Can we do those kind of things? And the initial response from the RCVS was no, because they hadn't, I don't think they fully understood, which is completely fair. I don't think they fully understood that the 111 hours which you guys are doing from industrial experience is one of those above and beyond modules. So the answer is yes, you can do webinars. And if you have placement, and this is this is probably one of the things to encourage you. If you have placement secured for those 3 weeks, then we absolutely want you to go to placement, because we know that that's a really good opportunity. But for those of you that haven't found placement, or because funnily enough we're in a global pandemic, that's why we've talked about using things like webinars and congresses and other things that you can develop. And that's also the reason why I'm allowed to basically approve other experience that you've had, because I know some of you have, you've come to me and said, well, I've worked with sheep, or I've worked on an equine yard, or I've done this before, can I use that? And because it's a separate module from the RCVS, I'm well within my right to say yes for that. So does that make sense? So Ali's asked, she can't find anything. So you absolutely are still able to attend webinars. We can have a conversation about previous experience that you've had, because I know a lot of you did work experience as part of your level 3s. Or I say, one of the things I put up for you this morning, straight this afternoon, is I've put up a list onto Ledge under all the documents we had before for industrial experience. And I think from what I can work out, I don't know how much is on there, but there is oodles. I got a little bit overexcited. And I've put lots and lots of links for free CPD. Now, some of the lectures are live. So there's another one that the BVNA are doing next week, which is all about mental well-being and mental health, which I strongly encourage you guys to go to. Again, I've signed up. I will be there with my my geek hat on. But the reason why it's really good is it's being presented by Mind Matters. Get my lips around that. Mind Matters, which is a specific veterinary professional initiative around mental health, because it's probably not a massive surprise, but mental health within the veterinary profession is quite a challenge. Obviously, we're all going into a highly stressful environment. We're dealing with lots of different people, lots of different emotions, all of those things. So we do know that it can be quite challenging, even for people that are at top of their level, but certainly for student nurses, we know that it can be quite a stressful environment. So really encourage you guys to go on book onto that. I'm hoping that they'll start generating certificates, because being slightly cheeky, I'm also using it for my CPD. But if they don't, then you can literally just write a couple of, maybe a side of notes about what the talk presented, and put in your confirmation, and I feel that would be enough. Just kind of go through other people's questions. So Mia said, at the moment I have a placement booked, but it could change, and I would like to use the Congress as a backup. How long in advance do we need to book for the 3 weeks? So I would say at this stage, try and be as organised as possible. So if you have the placement, if you can get your I think Mia's already given her forms in, but if you can get any documents to me, that would be wonderful. The joy of COVID that we all love so much is things change so frequently. Because I personally would love you to be in industry. I feel like it would be a much better option. But just seen Lucy's question about relevance of placement. I think for the thing to remember for the industrial experience unit, which is different, is because it doesn't directly apply to vet nursing, in the sense that it's not going towards your day one competencies, day one skills. As long as it's animal related, I feel like you can still do a really good job in the assignment, because what the assignment is getting you to do is to demonstrate how you yourselves are developing, what smart targets you've made, how you're working towards your objectives, those kind of things. So actually, as weird as it sounds, even if I know some of you do, but let's say you work for Pets at Home at the weekend, that would also be something that you could contribute towards. Those of you that do work in maybe do like pet receptionist, so if you're a veterinary receptionist, or you do insurance stuff, or if you do grooming, or you work at a cattery, or you have worked at a cattery, I think anything that's related to animals that demonstrates that you're working within an industry would be relevant. Even if you do dog walking or things like that, that would also be relevant. So I think the thing to try and be encouraged by is actually there's a heck of a lot of flexibility. And, I appreciate that it's not, the dream would be you guys would all go into a vet practice you'd all start learning about veterinary nursing, which is ultimately what we want you to do and what you want to do. But for the purposes of the assignment, as long as it's kind of transferable, which I think most of the stuff that you guys have at least come to me with would be, and we can certainly look at how we can apply that. So Lydia's saying she agrees with Lucy, it's just daily care and exercise that I do, nothing exciting. Again, Lydia, you know, it might be nothing exciting from your point of view because it's something you always do, but I'm pretty confident there's stuff in there that you could pull out. You know, even if it allows you to see what you currently know, and particularly if there's skills that you have, you know, your bread and butter skills, that's at least a really good foundation. And you know, I know we said this with Caroline, but please, 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 as a group, don't underestimate the skills and the knowledge that you have, because actually, you know, if Lydia's saying she works on a yard, you know, I have no idea about horses at all. So the fact that you've got a really solid foundation in horse care is an incredible position to be in. So I think don't worry too much if you feel like it's just bread and butter and it's boring, because again, for the assignment, there's definitely things that you can work on. Just going to skip back and see what other people are saying. So just having a look at people's comments. I've just jumped up a bit, so bear with me 1 second. So Amy, the bits on Ledge are under our first year section, and they are just underneath there's a title saying Industrial Experiences Resources. As I say, I've been a little bit geeky and put icons and links to different pages on there. The links are embedded, so it says things like please click here, because when it comes to IT, I like it to be tidy. So I've done a lot of hyperlinks, so it will take you straight to the booking pages. With some of the CPD that I've put up, they're more about like memberships, but what's really nice is because a lot of companies have realized that we can't physically get out to do CPD, and obviously CPD online can be expensive. There's been, like, for example, there's one company called the Webinar Vets, and out of the blue, literally the last couple, I think it was last week, they said this, they've given all vet nurses, including students, a year free of CPD, which is amazing. So theirs is a whole back catalogue, and it will be way more than 111 hours. The DECRA Academy, which is another free source, that's got 50 hours. I think Vet's now offering, I think it's about 12 hours. So there are some that are specific events, and there's some that are more kind of catalogues. But again, hopefully that means you guys can have a bit of an explore and a bit of a play. Because the Vet Academy, for example, when I looked just very quickly this morning, they've got things on exotic nursing, they've got animal behaviour, they've got more kind of public, like practice management stuff as well if you're interested. They've got medicine, they've got surgery, they've got anesthesia, there's all sorts of different things. And the lovely thing with this is you can just dip in. So I know, you know, having conversations with people, there's loads of you that are interested in equine nursing and working in a big hospital, loads of exotic buffs. So I think, you know, whilst it's not the dream and, you know, we'd love you to be in industry, I think actually it's quite a fun opportunity. So you guys can actually find things. I'm just going to go back through. So done that one. Yeah, Millie said you'll get a certificate. You will, absolutely. BVNA tends to take a little bit of time, but they've obviously got all of your names and stuff, so they will absolutely send things. Amy's asking, does BSAVA Congress mean you get 130 hours, or is there different things together? No, so if you do the Congress, that's your hours, but obviously there is a price associated with that. But do have a chat with the hardship fund, and Millie's just advocating again the stuff that you, the BSAVA Congress is amazing. To be fair, it's an absolute dream. I've been lucky to go to the actual Congress a couple of times, and as Millie says, that is for freebies. One of the things that we often do is you literally go around the trade stores and get whatever free stuff they can offer you. If you go at a particular time, this is a little tip for when you guys are qualified, not right now, we're all far too serious. But also the fun thing is if you know your different drug reps, which we got quite friendly with some of them in a positive way, nothing naughty. But then they also have vouchers for the bar. So after lectures, because I am a geek, that I end up doing like 6 to 8 hours of lectures a day. But then you get to go to the bar and you get basically free drinks, which is always a joy. So yes, it's fantastic, but also hopefully the online experience will be just as good. Rachel's saying about 100 hours. I think I've answered that question. Kirsty, so trying to fight with a feral child. Congress, yeah, we'll cover everything. Yeah, and you don't have to do another placement on top. No, so that can be that. I think I've answered Ali's question. Gia, don't worry about being late. Looked at that one. Amy's asked, does the year placement run over some holidays? It does, I'm afraid. So this is the thing, is with the year placement, it's a year. But what we've done on purpose is you're only allowed to work in industry for 52 weeks. So we'll talk about it another time, but basically you're not allowed to do more than 52 weeks for tax reasons. But you're out from us for 57 weeks. So that does give you then 4 weeks buffer that you can then negotiate with your employer for. And certainly when I was on my year placement, because I did exactly the same as you guys in a different university, I managed to arrange it that I had like 2 weeks off over the summer, and I think I did it a week at Christmas and a week at Easter, because obviously you are working as a full-time nurse, so you are entitled to the same 20 days working holiday, which any nurse would have, and obviously you don't have to necessarily work bank holidays as well. So it is a job. Whilst we describe it as a placement, you are working as a nurse, but you should still be able to negotiate some hours off as well, because we don't want you to burn out in the process. So Katie's saying she's got friends who will give her experience dog daycare centre. Would that be counting? Yes, absolutely. So with each webinar we watch, how is it counted towards our 111 hours? Is it the duration of the webinar? Yeah, so literally, like last night, those of you that attended, that webinar was an hour. So that's an hour off. So you've only got to do 110 hours. Obviously, if you're doing other stuff, then it's you literally just count them off. That's why you do it. Lucy's comments first. It doesn't feel right going into a second year vet nurse who's never worked in practice. No, I understand, but the thing is with that is, I know it sounds really bizarre, and it is a weird setup. It's quite normal for degree nurses, and as I say, each university does different things in terms of when they give you placement, when they don't give you placement. The uni I went to a whole 15 years ago, we had, so I think I'd had at the most, which obviously is more than you guys, but I think at the most I'd had 4 weeks in industry before I started my second year, and then you get thrown into your year placement. And I think even if, had everything worked out perfectly and had you all been able to go on placement, because we give you the choice, some of you may have opted to go and do hydro for 4 weeks or do physio for 4 weeks. I know there's quite a few of you that are really interested in physio. So I think the thing to remember is, nobody's going to think badly of you that you haven't got practical experience, because the whole point of the year placement is that they teach you that, and obviously we will be able to do some practicals with you guys here, so you're not going as a completely fresh slate. But I do realise that it does feel very strange, but it is more normal than you realise, and certainly as a clinical coach, when I was in practice, I almost assumed that my degree nurses didn't have very much knowledge, because I knew that actually for a lot of courses they don't spend time in practice, because the RCVS are very strict on when you like the amount of time you can be in practice, because whilst they want you to complete your 100 and what am I saying? Well, they want you to complete your 1,800 hours, because of the fact that you're commonly working unpaid, they have to be really strict with it. So as I say, it does feel weird, and I understand that. But again, in a weird kind of way, everyone's in the same situation. So it really isn't that uncommon to go in without having much experience. As I say, I think I had 4 weeks when I started my year placement, and I went in a completely random direction because I started off at a very small, independent, literally 9 to 5 job in one vet practice. And then went into a year placement in a referral hospital. So I think even if you've got like some experience, every practice is different, and it is just going to be, you know, it's rather than seeing it as a scary thing, see it as a really good opportunity, because it just means you get that chance to really have like the year will just be incredible, and you'll trust me, you'll walk out of that placement midway through your third year and you will be nurses, and then it's just a case of kind of doing other stuff, if that makes sense. But I realise it is stressful and it does feel weird. I completely get that. Jodie's saying, can we start watching webinars each evening now? Also, if we can only get a week in practice, could we do both experience and webinars? Yes, absolutely. And I'd really encourage you to start doing some patchworking. And like I say, if you find a webinar, you know, there's nothing stopping you doing some this week, next week. Obviously, I realise you guys are juggling lots of other things as well. But maybe instead of watching, like me, sitting watching 2-3 hours of Criminal Minds a night when I'm not marking, maybe you watch a webinar and then one episode of Criminal Minds. But yeah, you absolutely can start watching them. Just make sure you make a note of everything, so you've got a really nice clear timeline of where your hours are. And what you could do, if it helps, is set up a spreadsheet or a table. And if it was me, because again, this is how my brain thinks, I would do a column down the side of the hours, and then I would literally tally them. So you could have like equate the hours. So you can see you've got 111 hours down the side, and literally be like, right, 1 hour for this, 1 hour for this, 2 hours for this, 5 hours for this. So you can see really, really easily where things correspond. And that's certainly something you could be doing. Lily's saying, could I use my yard for the whole 3 weeks? It's not a full business, but it's privately run where I'm self-employed. I would suggest you use it for part of it, but if you could then supplement with maybe a few webinars, that would be great. But yeah, certainly if you can get the documents to me, then we can do that. Natasha's saying, are there any pre-recorded webinars, or are they all live? Truth be told, the majority of the ones I've given you are actually pre-recorded. So there's only one live one, which is the mental health webinar on Tuesday, but all the rest are pre-recorded. And as I say, I've tried to be as creative as possible. So there's a whole chunk of ones that are on feline medicine and feline behaviour. There's loads on medicine, surgery, anaesthesia. All the webinar vet ones, which you can sign up for free, they're all back catalogue recorded. So again, you know, you can fit it around childcare or your other activities, so that's quite nice. Yeah, Ali, good. So yeah, the feline focus ones are brilliant, and you can just watch them in whatever series you want. And I think if it works, I used to do this, so I hope it still works. But if you do it on your phone, so if you access them through whatever Firefox, whatever you've got, it will then play as audio as well, which is quite nice. You can put it on in the car, or you can put it on in your headphones when you're doing stuff, go for a run, whatever it is. So that's quite good as well. But yeah, they are all, most of them actually are pre-recorded. Oh, Lydia, just as good without alcohol. Are you doing dry January? Is that what it is? Or no, or are you referring to the Congress? I like Millie's idea though, is having an end of evening one. You know, you guys could recreate, you could have a Zoom BSAVA thing. Yeah, I have many blurs, or I remember bits of it. I remember once, and this is probably an overshare, but definitely one evening at BSAVA resulted in chips and garlic mayo and cheese. Not really sure how I got to those chips, but the chips were great. I remember that. But yes, you could do that. Lydia, so night shifts and weekends don't count. So basically weekends do. Night shifts you shouldn't be doing as an unqualified by yourself. So night shifts are always a bit of a dodgy one. Normally I would encourage you to be, if you do weekends and those are your shifts, then you can contribute them to that. With night shifts, as I say, you shouldn't be doing them by yourselves. So I would keep those as like extras. So what I used to do with my students when I was a CC is I used to either buddy them up with a vet, because if there's a vet surgeon there, then you're absolutely fine. or I would buddy them up with a qualified nurse, and basically anytime anything came in that was really excited, they'd phone the student and then they'd come in, because you're not supposed to be sole working. But yeah, so that's fair. Gia's saying, if we don't have any experience but we can't do an additional work experience, yes, you can, Gia. Yeah, so use previous, that's absolutely fine. Oh, good encouragement there, Lydia. Yeah, so as I say, don't worry too much about not feeling like you know anything, because as I say, it's quite normal. Most practices assume you don't know anything at all, so if you do know stuff, it's a bonus, but they absolutely won't think bad if you don't know very much. I definitely was a fish out of water, and as I said last week, I was the terrified nurse of cats, so you know, you're probably 10 times better than I was. Lydia, does the webinar we did yesterday and the webinar on the 26th count? Yes, it does. Yeah, you guys can look at that. Jodie, you're still, yes, the placement time period will still stand, so it's still the same 3 weeks. And even if we've decided as a university, even if you can't get placement, as in physical placement, then the 3 weeks will still stand, to give you time to be able to do webinars and things. But I know there are some people that have placements that are 99% certain that they will still go ahead. So that's why we're going to suspend the timetable for those 3 weeks, because we want to make sure that students that have got placements, by some kind of miraculous event, can still go and not have to worry about juggling assignments and all that kind of stuff. Amy saying, how do we prove that we've completed pre-recorded lectures? Yeah, so a couple of options. So you can either submit the attendance certificate or the booking reference, but also easy, nice thing, just summarize, do a couple pages, like a page of notes of things that were mentioned in the lecture. As I say, most of the time you're probably making notes anyway. I have to be honest, I didn't make notes last night, but I will be next week. So again, just submit that, and it doesn't have to be typed up lovely. It can just be handwritten. You can just literally take a photograph of your notes, submit that, and don't worry about the evidence not being very pretty. You know, as long as you can literally just pop a title on it, the date of the conference or whatever it was, and just put it in as it is. What I don't want you guys to do is, you know, make lots of notes, hand notes while you're listening to the seminar, and then feel that you then have to type them up and make sure they're formatted. Don't waste your time, just submit what you've got. Clearly Lydia's not doing dry January, to be fair, I'm not either, but I know a lot of people are. Oh, Millie's sharing, so end up on a hay bale and couldn't locate my hotel. Good, nice, that's a good sign of BSAVA. Don't worry, Rachel, that's fine, that's okay. Lots of thank yous. Cool. So hopefully that's helped. So as I say, I've gone a little bit mad. Yeah, good, so Lydia. So the paperwork is on Ledge. So it's actually now underneath the webinars, and it just says industrial experience form. So you just need to fill that in and send that back to me. It's all there. No, don't worry about it. I'd rather you kind of ask questions and have some clarity than to stress about it. So yes, it's all on Ledge. But yeah, I think with the industry experience, as I say, we're still waiting on Portsmouth to give us some kind of confirmation of any changes. One of the things they are actually really pro is that you still have industrial experience. Now, I realise that is a bit kind of difficult in these current climates, but they really feel that one of the selling points, obviously for you guys, is the practical side of the course. And what they don't want to do is to just say, we'll cancel it, because then that is going to disadvantage you. And I think one of the rationales behind it is, you know, even if it is kind of web-based, it's still a really good opportunity to just have a bit of a play with the subject. And actually, if we cancelled it altogether and said, you know what, we're just going to not bother and we'll do 3 weeks of lectures instead, then you're actually missing out quite a lot. So I wouldn't stress about it too much. As I say, I think what I'd give you on Ledge is a really good starting point. Obviously, I know a couple of you are thinking about BSABA as well, which is fantastic. One thing I would say is I think from what I've picked up, there will be a bit of a delay on when you've got to achieve your hours for. So if you have, for example, if you are pursuing practices or you are pursuing industry, and you want, you know, you could ask for Easter, for example, you could ask for May half term, and it might be, I did read on the news this morning that they think that schools will go back in April, but it might be that by then, you know, we're in a very different circumstance, and I'm seriously hoping that we can then just do some more stuff after that time. So I think that's probably one thing to be encouraged by. But equally, yeah, I saw it on Instagram this morning, Natasha, that they were like, oh, it'd be April, and I was like, yeah, April's not really soon enough for certainly for teaching, but also for all of the mummies and those of you that are I know there's some people that have got mental households with lots of different people and lots of people trying to do stuff, and I have to be honest, it sounds awful, but in the last lockdown, I was still living with my parents, and my mum's a full-time social worker in adult services, and trying to share a room with, obviously with her being lots of interviews, lots of discussions, lots of meetings, and then me trying to teach, it really didn't go down well. So actually, it's much calmer being here. So yeah, so it's not ideal either way, is it? But hopefully we'll have, we can have a bit more in place by then. So as I say, if you're talking to people and they're saying, oh, not now, but maybe later, you could still do that. So yeah, I've just Millie's going on Inset Day. To be fair, I think that's great. I think I'm all about like other educational experiences. Obviously we can't really do stuff, but don't let people know this, but when I used to teach FE, I definitely did a lesson where we watched Finding Nemo and then we had a handout. So I feel you can make any experience an educational experience. So obviously you guys can't watch Finding Nemo for your CPD. That's not appropriate. Kirsty's going to become an alcoholic. Okay. Maybe we'll have a conversation about that. And Lydia might already be there. Yeah, cool. Okay. Oh, Jodie, if you had the information from Mahara. Oh, yes. So there is a step-by-step already on Ledge. One of the things that I did say I would do that I haven't done because I'm very forgetful was to do a step-by-step about how to upload the assignment. So I can still produce that. That's fine. I've got some time this evening that I can do that. But there is already a step-by-step of how to use it on Ledge. Yes. Yeah, absolutely, Amy and Ali. Yeah, so you absolutely can watch documentaries. Oh, okay. The audio or the references. So references, you should just be able to upload them as normal. As in you could just do them as a Word document and upload them. Audio, I don't know if I know how to do that. If you're going to do it for tomorrow, try and email. If you email. ILT team and put it for attention for Heather, then they turn it around really quickly, so she should be able to give some help. But yeah, so in all seriousness, Amy's asking about TV programs. Again, completely fair. And, I think I'd be a little bit selective. But certainly I have to agree, the new Attenborough program, we are behind the game. We were only on episode 2, and we sat there last night watching it, and I think all that kept coming out of my mouth was, oh my goodness, that's amazing, oh my goodness. And my other half was like, my darling, just but yeah, goodness me, like so many good things. It's so good, it's really clever, but the footage is just insane, absolutely insane. How could you prove that you can watch them? I think just take a screenshot of something. I think it's fine if you've watched them. Again, you could always provide like a summary. So I've just picked my finger and made it bleed. That's why I'm sucking my fingers. But yeah, you could again put summary in of the program. But they are incredible, absolutely incredible. You should watch them. Although the flamingo babies on the first episode made me cry. Yeah, Kirsty, you can use documentaries. I'm more than happy for you guys to do that. YouTube's another source, so there's quite a lot of bits on YouTube. Quite a lot of behind the scenes vet stuff. I don't know if it's still, let me have a look and see if it's still on iPlayer, because there was a fantastic, like amazing documentary series that was on not recently, last year, which would actually be really good if it's still on there. Oh yeah, is it on there? Is it still on there? No, I don't want to watch Vets 24/7. Let's not watch that. You're getting excited now. So yeah, one that was really good, if they're still doing it. Oh, they're still doing it. Okay, so everyone's getting very excited now with the documentaries. Yeah, Disney Plus has some great ones. So veterinary programs, yeah, documentaries. The one that I would strongly encourage you to watch, if I send you the link, was one called, here you go, this one. And this is called Big Animal Surgery. And if you haven't watched it, that would be a fantastic, really good option. It's all about surgery, so actually it would be amazing. Thanks, Lucy. Thank you for finding the dates. That's great. But yeah, I would probably steer clear of the kind of more general stuff. So, being a complete snob, I probably wouldn't put down Yorkshire Vet. He's not really good standard. But you could put. If you want to and you like him, you could put Super Vet down. Bondi Vet would absolutely be something you could watch. You could, I think Bondi's on National Geographic. Is it, guys? Someone tell me. But Big Animal Surgery is brilliant. You absolutely could get away with watching some Attenborough. What you want to be able to do though with it, just so you don't get carried away, is you want to be able to, if someone asked you, you'd have to be able to justify it. So I think something like Attenborough, you would absolutely get away with saying things like talking about animal behaviour or reproductive behaviour, that kind of stuff. Obviously anything surgery related, so Big Animal Surgery kind of lends itself anyway because it's veterinary. Yeah, so have a play. Obviously don't just put all of it as documentaries, but you certainly can put a proportion. And certainly for those of you that have got small children, if you can manage childcare by popping your bub in front of a National Geographic programme, then go for it. Absolutely fine. So yeah, you can absolutely use that. It's fine, Kirsty, don't worry. You can open the wine. It's gone 4 o'clock in some countries, so that's absolutely not a problem. Yeah, Vet Life Animal Planet. Yeah, that would be great, Elise. I say the big thing to remember is whether you feel you could justify it. So obviously don't take the piss. But if there is genuine value in what you're watching, then I absolutely be more than happy for you guys to put that down. So if you are watching, for example, the Big Animal Surgery is, how long was that? So that's 3 hours in itself. If you're watching National Geographic or I think we're pushing it a little bit with something like Finding Nemo, but you get the gist. So I say don't take the mickey, but you can share it, and you could have a big Zoom party watching stuff. I don't know if you guys are doing that or not yet, but you could have a watching where you all sit down and watch a film together, have some wine, or other non-alcoholic beverages are available. But yeah, just enjoy it and actually just dip into things that you think are important. But just remember, it has got to link back to the assignment, and you do have to be able to evidence what you've done. So I think the first thing I'd love you to all be doing. Don't be silly, Joe. What? But non-alcoholic beverages are available. They are. I'm trying really hard to not drink in the week because it's just means I enjoy Fizz Friday that little bit more. So so yeah, honestly, just I don't want you guys to stress about it. So you've got full permission for me to be creative, and if there's anything that you're not sure if it's okay, just drop me an email and I can just say yes or no. But as I say, one thing I would love you all to do, if you can, is to start doing an Excel spreadsheet. As I say, literally just drop your hours down the side, and then just cross-reference it. So, as I say, simple as 1 to 111 down the side, and then another column with what you've done. So those of you that attended last night, you're on 110, so you're already laughing. Yeah. Any other questions at all? I was going to do a revision on SMART targets, but I feel like this is much more important. And also notice that you've done SMART targets with Sarah, so I was literally just going to do a revision. Has anyone got any other questions, concerns, queries? Yes, Amy, you absolutely can. How do we link webinars? Okay, so this is actually, in all seriousness, now Jodie's mentioned that, I will Can I put this PowerPoint on Ledge? I can, yes. I will have to download it and upload it again, but I can put it on Ledge. What was I going to say? We do. Apparently he's poorly. Right, I'm going to get distracted by David Attenborough's health at the moment. So Jodie's question of how do we link it to the assignment? So this is one thing that's important, because obviously with the first part of the assignment, let me get the assignment briefs up to talk through with you. So they're both on Ledge as well, just to remind you. But in all seriousness, obviously you are going to have to do an assignment that's linked to this. So with the portfolio, good, Amy, I'm pleased. That's good. And I'm pleased it's made it more possible. Good. As I say, I do try and make your lives a bit easier, even if I don't always communicate it. So with the assignment, then you've obviously got the two parts, and this is the one serious part of it. Is with the portfolio, because it's so heavily focused on you, then actually, regardless of what you do, you can make it work. So obviously you need to include the table that says what you've done. And obviously the one that's in the brief is about hours completed in the employer's organisation. You obviously can't do that, but what you can do is you need, put down the organisation that's provided the webinar you've watched, or the organisation that's presented it. If you need to write David Attenborough, I feel like that's acceptable. But there does need to be, just start it. I think just certainly start doing collecting the information, because I think that's one thing that's not going to change. So you certainly can start that. And then in part 2, again, you've got the Joy of Mahara, but it's about, again, although it's linked to industry, the main thing that you're having to demonstrate is how you're developing and what your objectives are, hence why we're going to do SMART targets, but we'll come back to those. So for example, section 2, brief introduction, discussing why you've chosen your experience. Well, justify it. Say, I've got a real interest in exotics, I'm really interested in surgery, therefore I picked these webinars. Those of you that are actually going into industry, tell me why you've picked those places. If it's previous experience, something must have motivated you to do that. So think about it in that respect. Obviously, with your evidence of contact for requesting work experience, you guys have all been doing that, so that should be fine. Even if it's just emails that say, no, sorry, COVID's happening, go figure, then pop those in as evidence. Up-to-date CV, again, you guys can do that. Have you done? That's fine. Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, I did this because Jo gave me the link. She said it was going to be shits and giggles, so I thought I'd go with it. I keep forgetting this is being recorded, so apologies to anyone listening to this now. Yeah, so with the CV, just to check, have you guys done CVs with Sarah or Charlotte, or do you need to do some CVs? Okay, Charlotte did some CVs, good. Okay, do you guys need some more CV stuff? Because we can do that next week if you want to. And that's something else we can get done. Yeah, no problem, we can do that next week. So we can have a whole little session on how to write a CV. Oh, Ali doesn't want any. We'll do a mixture, and we'll do some bits that other people want to study. Oh. You're right, Ali, don't worry. I'm just messing. So yeah, CV, you guys can do that. The objectives is probably something that we need to do together, potentially, if you need to do it together. So we can come on to that as well. We can always do that in class next week. Why don't we do that? We'll do some objectives and some CV. And then basically it's just demonstrating what you've done and how you feel it's helped you. So that's really the main thing just to kind of remember, is that in all of this, we're thinking about your own progression. So, just think about that when you're selecting your documentaries and stuff, but that should all write itself. So that's okay. Yeah, Ellie's just said about she's found some stuff online. Yeah, that's cool. That's really good. To be honest, I used a template. I had a little bit of guidance with mine, and whenever I do mine, I have a little bit more guidance, but generally I just use a pretty template. And Tash says nothing's animal related. You might think that, but then just think about all those wonderful transferable skills that you have. So, all of your skills on communication, how to deal with the general public, how to resolve issues, how to clean all those dental equipments and stuff. So I think you're fine, because it's all transferable. And then the recording is the bit that I'm not clear on yet, as in the presentation. So just bear in mind, this is why it's helpful at this stage while you guys are collecting stuff, is when I spoke to Abby about the presentation, she said that you just had to pick an organisation. So again, just make sure with your with all your documentaries and stuff, try and at least mix in a couple that are like really reputable sources. So for example, if you watch something like, say you watch the Vets Now ones, great, base your presentation on Vets Now. If you watch the BVNA ones, you could talk about BVNA. If you watch something on I don't know, if you watch one of the zoo ones, you could talk about Biaza. So make sure that whatever you're watching, from at least one of them, there's an organisation that you can pull stuff out of. And then I think otherwise you're laughing. Well, maybe not laughing, maybe slightly giggling more than we were earlier. Okay, so next week then, let's come back to targets. We'll just do some objectives, have some ideas on that, because I think the fact that Sarah's gone through it already, hopefully, it's gone very dark, sorry. Hopefully, because you've done it with Sarah, that you've got some knowledge, but maybe it's just to kind of work out what kind of targets we could be doing, because obviously it's quite different to what we were doing before. And we'll do a little bit on CV, but we won't do death by CV, because obviously if some of you have already got them, then that's fine. I'm going to leave it there. I'll stop the recording before I say anything else that is going to incriminate me.